All right, well, sometimes the worst performances really do make for the best stories. The Worst Gig is a collection of interviews with famous musicians telling the hilarious tales of the worst shows they ever played. John Nickham is the book's author, so welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so now how did you get access to all of these, of so many big acts? I want you to dish.
Well, I've spent 20 years as a career of interviewing bands, first as with the Pitch, then with the Lawrence Journal World, then with the Kansas City Star. So I had unfettered access, as we say, and I started throwing in this question, what's the worst show you ever played, just kind of as a general way of getting people talking, and I started realizing, wow, these are some amazing stories. I should write a book one of these days.
You think? And you spent like 15 years compiling this book, so this is 15 years of behind-the-scenes drama and teen angst. That's awesome.
Because otherwise you would never be able to get this many famous people to talk to you.
Right?
You can't just pick up the phone and do that. They don't care.
Okay, so what are some of your favorite stories in the book? And be sure to drop some names.
Well, you know, if I'm going to drop names, I'm going to be doing, you know, Def Leppard, Rush, the Sex Pistols. I can say pistol on the air, right?
Yes, you can.
Okay, good.
Also sex.
Okay, excellent. Those are some of, some of the big, there's a lot of big names and a good diverse range, but, some of my favorite stories are some of the more intense, obscure ones. Ian MacKaye of Fugazi and Minor Threat has an amazing story about playing a college in Warsaw, Poland, in which a group of skinheads decided to attack the band for turning them away at the door, except it wasn't a group, it was about an army. It was about 200, and it's this amazing story of them both trying to get out away from being killed and also making sure that their van with all their equipment can get out of Warsaw. So.
And you actually have a little tiny section called "It's All Good" too.
It's all good.
So Shelley Wright, she's local. Tell me about her story.
Oh, she just talks about a lot of musicians can spin any bad thing into something good because they don't want to dwell on the bad things, and that's one of her stories. And I wanted to end the book with that chapter as opposed to ending it. The other chapters are wrong venue, dangerous malfunctions, insane fans, violence. So I wanted to have a positive end.
Now you started The Worst Gig as a website, but what made you turn it into a book?
Well, it's funny. I always envisioned it as a book, and I remember going to one of the publishers, and they said, if this were a website, you could have gotten a book deal instantly. And so it was a practical decision. And then the website took off, and I kind of forgot about the book, and that led to different things. And all of a sudden, then the book came out of the website.
Now, who didn't want to talk to you? What musicians did not want to relive their worst stories?
Well, I don't know if I should name names, but there were certainly people who would go, I was so traumatized by my story, I literally don't want to talk about it. And I also had people tell me stories that are like, I'm not going to tell you my worst story, I'll tell you my second worst story because I literally can't talk about the worst one. And occasionally people were like, I don't want to burn bridges with who these stories involve, so they dance around it. But for the most part, people like to unload. I'm almost like a psychologist or a bartender they want to talk to.
Well, I've been perusing the book all morning. Some funny, tragic stories in here. All right. Well, there's going to be a launch party for The Worst Gig Friday, October 4th at the Raven Bookstore in Lawrence, and that party begins at 7 o'clock that night. Thank you, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Good reading, hysterical. All right.